We've got investors that are looking for a place to put their money, and basically what we're doing is we're taking these beat-up houses, we're providing them to the buyers who fix them up, and they're getting, you know, just outstanding returns. California doesn't cash flow. It does now. I don't know how long that's going to last. So, definition of wholesaling is getting somebody to accept your offer. So, do you own real estate in this model? No. No, you're owning personal property. If there's a property worth $300,000 and you make an offer and it gets accepted for $100,000, you have a right to buy that for $100,000. The bank can't sell it to anybody else. Do you have something of value in your hand? Absolutely. So what you're doing is you're trading this in for cash, quickly. Before you close the deal. You don't close it with your money. Yeah. You just have this contract that you're giving away in exchange for money. Yeah, exactly. Probably want to talk about, I don't know if they caught that, but if it didn't, what Cindy said, and this is important, is that you don't own the property. You just own the interest in the property. That's the wholesaling model. So, you know, people say, well, you're finding houses for somebody else, don't you need a license? No, the difference is that an agent is doing it for somebody. They're finding a property for someone else, and they're writing an offer for somebody else. With wholesaling, you're writing an offer for yourself. So you don't need a license to sell what you own. Does that make sense? We're good on that? So here's the benefits. No credit or anything that you need. Very little out of pocket. Sometimes you do need a deposit. Very little risk. If the deal blows up on you, you really don't lose anything. You know, your reputation or your pride a little bit. You get paid very quickly, and it's repeatable. These are the benefits of doing the wholesaling model. Now, another thing important is that, well, this is an exit strategy. When Cindy talks about how to get REOs, if you want to keep them and flip them, that's great. If you want to keep them and rent them out, that's great. Same strategy. Wholesaling is just another exit strategy. And it's one that we'll probably do forever. We're doing fix and flips again. We just started going back into it. And I think wholesaling will always be part of our model because it stabilizes your cash flow. Even when we were doing well, our cash would go like this and then pop. And if anyone flips houses, you know what that's like. You know, you're watching your cash do this, you're getting it in big chunks. Wholesaling can help to bring a little paycheck in. Alright, so why, alright. What, I'm going to go fast on this one. Usually I would spend more time on it, but foreclosure. Foreclosure, yeah, it's a noun, you buy a foreclosure, but the more accurate way to describe foreclosure is a verb, it's a process. So if somebody is not making their mortgage payment, you can't just throw them out. There's a due process of law. Now, in California, they got to file what's called a notice of default, and then you can't do anything for 3 months. You wait. The homeowner has the right to make those payments up for 3 months, and if they don't, the bank can then sell their property, you know, after about a 4-month period. 3 ways to buy foreclosures. What we used to do is in here, the homeowner still owns it. So you're making an offer to the homeowner, you're buying it from them before it goes to foreclosure. The second way you can buy foreclosures is at the foreclosure sale. We've actually never done that. That's the one way we've never bought a house. At the foreclosure sale, if no investors show up, guess what? Who owns the property now? The bank. That's where the hot spot is right now. I'm going to actually, I'm going to skip through this. This is the theory. I feel like it's really important to explain the cycle and what's going on because twice now, Cindy and I have been doing real estate, and something that we do works really good. We're in hawk heaven. And then it's like someone turns out the lights. It's important to understand the cycle so that this doesn't happen to you. I mean, we got it now. We know. I understand the cycle. I didn't when we started out. And it's important to see what's coming because you can change your strategy quickly. When I met Cindy, she was buying, it's almost a full cycle. She was buying foreclosures. When we got going in 2000, foreclosures did this because the market did this.
That's why I put my ad in the paper because I couldn't get foreclosures anymore.
Right. So, exactly. So we switched and just kind of fumbling around. We started buying from people in foreclosure. We changed our strategy. But that's kind of this point. We don't have time. But the gist of this is that what happened, everybody pulled out a ton of equity. Median home price in California went from 180 to 520 in 2005. People pulled all their money out. When it finally peaked out in like 06, all those equity loans and all those ridiculous loans came home to roost. Banks started getting properties back, and then it's a downward spiral because foreclosures got thrown on the market. We've got all this inventory. The banks start to have to compete against each other, and they start dropping prices. What happens? You owe $300 on a house. It's worth $320. People didn't sell because they were stubborn. Their neighbors sold theirs for $400, so they waited. And what happened is values did this, and as soon as it gets below what you owe on the house, there's no escape. Nothing you can do except walk away. So people are walking away in droves. And then lenders at the worst time decided to get picky. After the fewer buyers that are left, they raised their standards. So you just had a massive. This is foreclosure sales in Southern California, 2008. This paints the picture right here. So do you think there's an opportunity for us? Off the chart opportunity. There's so many foreclosures coming that are still tied up. Okay, so we affectionately created we named our steps for wholesaling into 3 different steps. Treasure hunting, that's Cindy, and Michael, he's another one of our team members. Treasure hunting is you're looking for deals. Staking your claim is making offers and getting an accepted offer. Once that bank accepts your low wall offer, they can't sell it to anyone else, you got it. And then cashing it in is the third thing. That's what we're going to go through. Now, there's 2 things you need for a deal. A motivated seller, do you think banks are motivated to sell their stuff? And you need equity. That's why, I don't know if you see We Buy Houses sign anymore. I don't see them anymore. If you put a We Buy Houses sign up, you're going to get 8 million calls from people who are upside down on their property. There's no equity. There's nothing you can do with it. You can do short sales. If you're just getting started, I don't recommend it. Once you get an
forever.
We don't do it.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, And I won't go into it. All right. So this is a very important. It's a new book coming out. Really? Really, he's probably gonna sue me for doing that. Yeah. All right. We're moving into the first stage, and the really, really important thing that you need to know. I was explaining to Dan earlier, is that when we were buying from people in foreclosure, we bought their house at their kitchen table. We got a deed made up, or we had a notary come over, we'd give them a check, and we'd sign a contract, we'd shake hands, we'd get the deed, get the property fixed up, and we would sell it. We did that up into 2005. That's when we got all our deals from. Remember the first stage, when people are in foreclosure? Well, I didn't know how agents got paid. I didn't care. It was no big deal. And guess what? Now that all the bank-owned properties are hitting the market, how do banks unload their properties? They sell their properties just like normal people do. They call the local broker, Century 21, Tarbell. They sell it through normal brokers. I mean, your local broker. That's how they do it. So there's nothing there. Now, the thing about buying properties directly from the bank, that is a myth. Anybody in here ever buy a property directly from the bank? I've asked that question in front of rooms with 300 people. I've never gotten a yes yet. It doesn't happen. I've heard of one case. It was a very small local bank. The banks take the property and they list it with a broker just like anyone else. So what this means is that you are now, if you're going to play the game of REOs, which is really the only game in town, it's the only stuff with equity, you've got to learn the agent world. I hate that idea.
How many people in this room are agents or brokers?
License? Okay. So you're forced to learn how agents work. You've got to do it. There's just no way around it. You're going to